Welcome back to Haunted Threads 1978. Today I'm going to be reading a story on a subreddit called Truly Creepy. It's written by U-Moirawr. This is 11 years ago. Story, true, my encounter with creepy. Not much truly creepy has happened in my life. I've mostly dismissed the supernatural just because of how often things are explained, and how little I've seen. So, although the story might not be that thrilling, it is unexplainable. Because of that, I always point to the story when thinking of what ifs in life. I live in Texas, and a few years back I was with my dad and stepmom visiting my grandma and her third husband in California. The first died before I was born, and the second died probably 10 years ago now. I wasn't very close and with this side of the family, and this was probably only the second time I had visited since being a small child. Anyway, it was a typical old person house, cluttered with decorations, walls of pictures, and the smell of old dust and perfume. Nothing creepy at all, just gross. We were actually traveling around the state, so we only stopped there for one night, fortunately. The house was big enough that my dad and stepmom had their own room, and I had my own room. I was very glad. It has an awesome king-size bed and its own attached bathroom. That sounds pretty cool. So I wouldn't have to feel around in the dark in an unfamiliar house when I inevitably got up to pee at night. So night comes and I go to bed. It's completely dark, no light coming through the window, and no dim glow from little electronic lights. It's how I prefer to sleep. Sometimes I have trouble falling asleep in an unfamiliar place, but I was tired from all the social interaction, so I must have fallen asleep quickly. Now, finally, the creepy part. I woke up suddenly and instantly felt panic. Not full-on panic, but enough to hear my heart beating quickly in my head in the dead, quiet house. My eyes snapped open wide in an attempt to see, but it was too dark to even make out shadows. I laid perfectly still. I tried to remember if I had a scary dream, but then I felt it. The adrenaline made my heart feel like it was rising, but a new feeling creeped over me and sunk my heart low. It was dread. Pure dread. Different than the initial panic. My senses told me there was nothing, but equally convincing was the feeling of doom, fear, dread, telling me of another presence. After a few minutes of lying frozen, nothing happens, of course. So I leaped out of bed and flipped on the light. I stood there for a few more minutes, looking, listening, straining. My bladder pinged me, so I peed and went to bed. I hope he peed into the bathroom. Thinking I may have had my first panic attack. The next day, I told my dad about it, asking if those were symptoms and what may have happened to me. My grandma overhears us trying to figure it out. We were just about to chalk it up to nightmares when she dropped a freaking bombshell on us. Apparently, her second husband had unalived himself in that room. This was news to both me and Dad, as we never knew the specifics. She had never told anyone they wouldn't stay in the room. And also apparently several friends had told her they get the dread feeling too. So maybe I had a fluke panic attack. The incident was just a coincidence, and the rest is hearsay. Or maybe there's some dark energy in that room. Either way, I'll never stay there again. I don't blame you. I wouldn't stay there either, even if I didn't know that last part there. That is terrifying, and no thank you. Absolutely not. I apologize. I didn't know there was going to be that in this story. I guess, trigger warning should come in the beginning of a story, but again, I don't read these first, so I didn't know. I do apologize if that was triggering for anyone, and if that was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me to see that and then have to change the wording around. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the story. Let me know if you have any spooky, scary stories or creepy stories that you'd like to share, and I'll read it on my channel. With that said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget that. That's very important. And then with that said, have a great day and be safe.